Marcus had worked at the elegant downtown restaurant for nearly 3 years. It wasn't the type of place where waiters built careers, most used it as a stepping stone. But for Marcus, it was survival. The polished floors, candlelit tables, and soft jazz were a world away from where he had started. Every shift meant rent could be paid, lights could stay on, and his little sister's school supplies would be covered. He had no room for mistakes. Tall and soft-spoken, Marcus always wore his uniform pressed and shoes shining. Guests often remarked on his polite smile and the way he seemed to anticipate needs before they were spoken. To most, he was just the black waiter who always got it right. But what no one saw was the memory that never left him, nights spent on benches in his teens when his family lost their home. Hunger, he knew, was more than an empty stomach. It was shame. It was being invisible while the world walked past. That wound had shaped him. On a biting winter night, as Marcus carried empty dishes out the back door, the sharp wind caught his breath. That's when he saw him, a man in tattered layers hunched against the brick wall, arms wrapped tight as if holding himself together. His face was pale, and his eyes had the vacant look of someone who hadn't been acknowledged in days. Marcus froze. That memory from years ago slammed into him like a wave. He knew that posture, that silent cry. For a moment, Marcus glanced back toward the kitchen, the clinking of glasses and sizzling pans reminding him of the risk. The restaurant had strict policies. No free food, no waste, no charity. Everything had to be accounted for on paper. The manager, Mr. Clarkson, prided himself on running the place like a machine. He had fired servers before for smaller mistakes than this. But Marcus's conscience was louder than fear. He slipped inside, cut a piece of fresh bread still warm from the oven, and folded it quickly in a napkin. Returning to the alley, he knelt down and placed it into the man's trembling hands. "Here, brother," Marcus whispered. "Eat." The man's eyes widened with disbelief before filling with tears. He pressed the bread to his lips as though it were the most precious gift in the world. For Marcus, it was nothing but a scrap of food, but he knew it meant everything to someone starving. That sacred moment, however, lasted only seconds. From behind, a harsh voice cut through the air. "Marcus, what do you think you're doing?" It was Mr. Clarkson. His sharp suit and cold glare seemed to chill the air even more than the winter wind. The man on the curb shrank back in fear. Marcus rose slowly, heart pounding, knowing immediately what this meant. Kindness had crossed a line. And he was about to pay for it. The alley felt even colder under Mr. Clarkson's glare. His voice was sharp, echoing against the brick walls. "Bread doesn't grow on trees, Marcus. Every item is accounted for. Do you understand what you've just done?" Marcus swallowed hard, his chest tight. "Sir, it was just a piece of bread. He's starving. I couldn't." "You couldn't what?" "Follow the rules," Clarkson snapped, his face reddening. "This is a fine dining establishment, not a charity kitchen. Customers pay top dollar for our food. If you want to play savior, do it on your own time and with your own money." The homeless man stood frozen, clutching the bread as if it might be snatched away. He whispered, "Thank you," before shuffling into the shadows, his figure swallowed by darkness. Marcus wanted to call him back, to at least know his name, but Clarkson's presence pinned him down like iron. "Clean out your locker," Clarkson said coldly. "You're done here." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "Please, sir, I need this job. I've never been late, never. Complained about double shifts, never." Clarkson cut him off with a wave of his hand. "You think your record makes you special? Rules are rules. Hand in your apron." The door slammed behind Clarkson as he marched back inside, leaving Marcus alone in the alley with the sting of injustice burning in his chest. He pulled off his apron slowly, feeling the weight of everything he was about to lose. Rent, bills, his sister's school fees, all for one act of kindness. Inside the dining room, however, not everything had gone unseen. At a corner table, a young woman had witnessed the entire exchange through the frosted glass window. She had been filming casually with her phone, documenting her evening out, when she saw Marcus kneel to give bread to the homeless man. She had also captured the manager's furious outburst and the way Marcus's shoulders slumped as he walked back inside. Something in her heart twisted. That kind of compassion was rare, and yet it was being punished. She posted the video online with a simple caption. Greater than, "This man was fired for giving a homeless person bread." Is this really the world we live in? By the time Marcus reached his small apartment later that night, his phone buzzed nonstop. Friends, acquaintances, and even strangers had tagged him in comments and messages. The video had exploded. Thousands of people were sharing it, praising his humanity, condemning the restaurant's cruelty. Some wrote long paragraphs about how kindness should never cost someone their job. Others simply left 3 words, "We see you." Marcus scrolled in disbelief. His heart still ached from the loss of his job, but as he read the flood of encouragement, something inside him flickered, hope. By morning, major news outlets had picked up the story. Headlines read, "Waiter fired for feeding homeless man," and "Compassion over corporate rules." The restaurant's reviews tanked overnight as angry customers promised never to return. What Marcus didn't know yet was that this single act of kindness, punished in the shadows of an alley, was about to open doors he never imagined. Marcus woke to the sound of his phone vibrating across the nightstand. For a moment, he thought it was a mistake, he never got this many notifications. But as he unlocked the screen, his jaw dropped. Messages poured in from strangers, old classmates, even distant relatives. "You did the right thing. Proud of you, brother. Don't give up, better things are coming." The video of him handing bread to the homeless man had already crossed 1 million views. News stations were calling him a hero. His name, Marcus Johnson, was suddenly everywhere. At first, Marcus didn't know what to do. He sat in his small apartment, staring at the screen, torn between gratitude and disbelief. Just 12 hours ago, he had been fired, humiliated, and terrified about how he'd make rent. Now, complete strangers were rallying around him. Then came the phone calls. A local radio station invited him to share his story. Reporters wanted interviews. Marcus hesitated. He wasn't looking for fame. But one thought pushed him forward. Maybe, just maybe, telling the truth could inspire others not to be afraid of kindness. When he appeared on the evening news, wearing his only suit jacket, he spoke simply, "I know I broke a rule. But when I looked at that man, I saw myself years ago. Hungry, cold, invisible. I couldn't walk away." Viewers were moved. The clip spread even further, reaching not just ordinary people but business leaders, activists, and philanthropists. One of them was Mr. David Reynolds, a wealthy restaurateur who owned a nationwide chain. He sent Marcus a direct message. "Greater than, people can be trained to serve food, Marcus. But they can't be trained to have the heart you have. I'd like to meet you." Skeptical but curious, Marcus agreed. The next week, he sat across from Reynolds in a sleek office overlooking the city skyline. "I built my business on good service," Reynolds said. "But service without compassion is hollow. What you did, that's leadership. How would you like to manage one of my restaurants?" Marcus blinked in shock. "Me, a manager?" "Yes," Reynolds said firmly. "And not just any manager. I want you to help me start something new. A program where part of our profits go toward feeding the homeless. You'll run it." Tears welled in Marcus's eyes. He had gone from being thrown out of one restaurant to being entrusted with leading another, one that would make a real difference. Months later, Marcus stood in front of a newly opened branch, its sign shining bright. Inside, a special corner kitchen prepared free daily meals for the homeless. Formerly homeless men and women now worked alongside staff, earning paychecks, dignity, and hope. Marcus looked around at the bustling dining room, the laughter, the smell of warm bread, and the sight of people being fed, rich and poor, side by side. He smiled, remembering the cold night in the alley. One act of kindness had cost him a job, but it had also given him something greater, purpose. And as he handed a fresh loaf of bread to a hungry child, Marcus whispered the same words as before. "Here, brother, eat."